Hey guys, Jason Hitchings here. So lately I've been getting asked by a number of people to make a carry gun recommendation for them. Or they'll ask me, what do you think of this gun or that gun for concealed carry? So I thought I'd take a minute and put together this video that touches on that topic. And then this will actually flow into a series of videos on a new concealed carry option that I'm going to be testing and then giving my opinion on in the end. So first let's go over what I look for in a carry gun. And this is not in any specific order, just going over what I look for. First off, is the gun comfortable to carry? And the reason I bring that up is if the gun's not comfortable to carry and you're going to leave it at home half of the time, then it's not a good carry gun. Secondly, is the gun concealable? If the gun is hard to conceal and it's too big for your body type to where you're constantly fidgeting with it or pulling your shirt down or you're self-conscious about whether that gun's printing or not, that's not going to be your best option either, and you're going to end up leaving that gun at home or, ditching it for another gun. The next thing I look for is capacity, because not all self-defense encounters involve just one threat or one attacker. There could be multiple attackers, and you need to have enough capacity in your gun and on your person to handle your situation. So let me throw this scenario at you. If somebody tells me, Jason, tomorrow you're gonna be in a gunfight. You're gonna have to use your carry gun to defend your life. In the morning, I'm probably gonna put a little bit of thought into what gun I put on. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's probably not going to be my Glock 43 because this gun is super concealable and very comfortable. However, in this configuration, I've got a +1 on it, so I've got 7 + 1 in the gun, to where my Glock 19, I've got 16 rounds in the gun. I do think, though, that there is absolutely a time and a place for these smaller guns. For instance, when I'm going to go bike riding with my family all day, I'll usually put my 43 on inside the waistband appendix, and I'll be comfortable all day long riding a bike. But if I did that with my Glock 19, it would probably be uncomfortable after an hour. But that brings me to my next point, and that's shootability of your gun. How easy is your carry gun to shoot, and how well can you shoot it? For me, my Glock 19 is easier to shoot than my Glock 43. The smaller the gun, the sharper the recoil impulse is on that gun, and it makes it a little bit more of a handful to shoot. But with the Glock 43, you get the comfort and the concealability that is quite a bit better than the Glock 19. So there's a trade-off. So it's not always an easy answer, and it's not always a one gun solution. You might need more than one carry gun for different situations. I have a variety of carry guns, but I mainly carry my 43 and my 19, and for probably 98% of the situations, one of those two guns serves me well. So most of the time when I'm asked to recommend a carry gun, I either recommend a Glock 19 or a Glock 43 because that's what I'm most comfortable with. However, there are some people out there that just have no interest in owning a Glock, and they've picked them up in gun stores and they just don't feel right in their hand, or they're just not a Glock fan, and I totally get that. So I wanted to test out some other guns so I can make some educated recommendations. So that brings me to this gun. This is a Smith & Wesson M&P, their new M2.0 compact, which is basically designed to be a direct competitor to the Glock 19. Specs-wise, this gun measures just about identical to a Glock 19. It's got the 15 + 1 capacity, it has the same barrel length, same slide length, same grip length, but it's not a Glock. So when I was deciding as to what gun to test out so I can make a non-Glock carry gun recommendation, one of the other things I looked for was aftermarket support. Because if you're going to buy a gun for concealed carry, you're going to need a holster. You may want to change certain things about the gun to suit your preferences, like possibly the sights or trigger grip or just various things over the gun to make it better fit you. So aftermarket support was a big deal. When a company decides that they're going to make a new set of sights or a new holster or any new product, the first gun that they're going to make it for is a Glock. However, these M&P series guns have become so popular over the last few years that there's a ton of aftermarket support for them already. So let's go over a few features of this gun. So the first thing I like about this M&P M2.0 compact is that they made it Glock 19 size. Like I said before, it's dimensionally the same as a Glock 19, and being that that's the gun that I carry 95% of the time, this gun should fit me like a glove. So the first thing that jumped out at me when I opened the box and handled this gun was the grip texture. It has phenomenal traction. They did a great job at this texture that they put on here. All of the Glocks that I have are stippled by Agency Arms, and they basically retexture the Glock to give it more traction, and this 2.0 compact has every bit as good a traction as my Agency guns do. The next thing I like about this gun, right out of the box, right from the factory, this comes with steel sights, unlike a Glock that comes with plastic sights. And I like the fact that these sights have a nice front ledge on the front of the rear sight, which makes it's pretty much a necessary feature if you're going to think about doing any kind of one-handed manipulation work to where you're racking the gun off from your belt. It does have a ambi slide stop on it, a lot like a Gen 5 Glock does. And from what I understand, the magazine release button is reversible, so this gun could be, fully left-handed configured if that's the way that you want it. Another thing that I look for in a carry gun that this has is a light rail. For me, I carry a Surefire X300U light on my gun, a good majority of the time. So a light rail on my carry gun is definitely a necessity. However, one thing that I'm not a big fan of is the trigger. This does actually have a really good out-of-the-box trigger feel. It has quite a lot of take-up to it, and then it has a nice predictable wall to where you know exactly when that trigger is going to break. And on my trigger pull gauge, this is measuring about 4.5 pounds right out of the box, which is a great weight for a carry gun. But the thing that I don't like about this trigger is it has so much pre-travel that when you prep the trigger and you're up against the wall, the length from the back of the grip to the trigger is pretty short compared to what I'm used to, and when I have a full firing grip, I end up burying a lot of my trigger finger in there, which can lead to you pulling rounds off to the right. So one thing I plan on changing right away is I bought an Apex trigger kit. So Apex makes a aluminum straight flat face trigger for these, and being that the gun that I carry and basically all my other carry guns have Agency Arms flat-faced straight aluminum triggers in it, that'll give me the commonality that I'm used to. The other thing that I'm going to change right away is actually the sights. Even though these are really nice steel sights that have a ledge, which is a requirement for me on a carry gun, the thing I'm not a fan of is these are 3-dot sights. So they've got 2 white dots in the rear sight and then 1 white dot on the front. And being that you need a clear, crisp front sight focus, I'm not a big fan of having anything that attracts my attention on the rear sight. I could take like a black Sharpie and just black these 2 dots out, and that would make it a lot better for me. But what I'm used to in an iron sight is a red fiber optic front and a blacked out rear. So I went ahead and picked up a set of Frank Proctor's sights for this gun, which has that configuration. It's got the red fiber front with the blacked out rear. So I'm going to change the sights and the trigger right off the bat, and then we're going to head to the range with this gun. So here's my plan for testing this gun to see whether this is something that I can recommend to people or not. I'm going to carry this gun every day until I get 1,000 rounds through it. I've got 5 magazines here that are already loaded up with my carry ammo, which is 124 grain Federal HST standard pressure hollow points. In our first range trip, we're going to run those 75 rounds of carry ammo through it to make sure that the gun likes my carry ammo, and to confirm that the trigger install is okay, and to see where the sights hit, where our point of aim and point of impact are. And if all that goes well, then I'll be confident enough to carry it until we go through 1,000 rounds of testing with it. So I'll carry it every single day and do all my range practice and all my dry fire practice with this gun until I get through this 1,000 round case of ammo that I have in front of me. I'll try to record all my range trips that we make with this gun along the 1,000 round journey. And this will give you an idea of all the different drills that I do on my own. We'll run through some instructional stuff on these range trips, and we'll put together a multi-part series on this gun. Alright guys, we made it to the range. So today we are going to put the first rounds to this M&P 2.0 compact, and I've got 3 goals with today's range trip. Last night I put in the Apex flat-faced trigger that we talked about and the Frank Proctor sights, and I'll show you those in a second. But before I start carrying this every day, I want to make sure that it runs my carry ammo well. And that's the Federal HST 124 grain. So I loaded up 5 magazines with that, and we're going to make sure that it runs that ammo well, and then also to check the function of the trigger, and we want to see where our point of aim, point of impact is at various distances with these sights. Alright, so check out this trigger. I'm quite pleased with the way it turned out. It dramatically shortened our pre-travel. We've just got this little short pre-travel to defeat the plunger safety in the slide, and then it comes up against a wall, and a very nice, clean, crisp, predictable brake with no over travel. It's a really nice trigger, and very short reset, and you're right back on that wall. So I think I'm gonna like this. The spring combination that I used gave me just about exactly a 4-pound brake on my trigger gauge consistently. In this Apex kit, they give you a variety of springs along with a chart, so you can spring the gun the way that you want it for your desired trigger pull weight. And with this one, we ended up right at 4 pounds. Alright, I don't know how well this will come across on camera, but these are the sights that we installed, the Frank Proctor fiber optic front and square notch rear sights, which this is my desired sight picture on a set of iron sights for a carry gun. Alright, so I'm starting out here at 10 yards, and what I want to test here is where my point of aim and point of impact are with these sights at 10 yards. So this will be the very first rounds through this gun. Alright, so here's our first 10 round group at 10 yards, which is about a fist size group, not too bad. But what I'm looking for is to see how I need to hold my sight picture to get my desired point of impact. So to give you an idea of that, let me see if I can draw. Okay, if this is your rear sight, and that's your front sight, if you've got equal height and equal light to where they're all even on the top and your front sight post is centered in your rear notch, I've got a fiber optic dot on the front of mine, and I was trying to see whether my point of impact is right here where this fiber optic is, or if my point of impact is at the top of the post. And the way I was holding these, I was holding in the center with that fiber optic dot. So it looks like that is our sight picture with these sights. Alright guys, we just backed it up to 25 yards and I marked all those previous 10 hits. So we're going to do the same thing at 25 yards and see where our point of impact is here. right, let's go look. All right, here it is at 25. We had still a decent sized little group. I had 2 flyers that were down here, and that was me. I kind of did a little bit of recoil anticipation on those, and I felt that, so I knew I was going to have a couple flyers. But all in all, I still have a pretty nice tight group at 25, so I'm happy with that. One more thing that I wanted to note on that last group, I had to do a mag change because I ran dry, and you may have noticed that my slide did not lock to the rear, and that's because my support hand grip is I use a pretty high support hand grip, and it's real tight. And I do this with Glocks a lot too, but I'll ride the slide stop lever pretty tightly to where the slide won't lock back on the last round, and that's become pretty normal for me, so I just reload the gun and keep going. Alright, now I'm going to do a drill I like to call the Know Your Limits drill. And I've got this 8-inch steel plate, and I'll start at 15 yards and shoot the steel plate, and for every hit that I get, I will move back 5 yards. So 5 yards at a time until I get consistent failures, and then I will know what distance my failure point is with this gun. So let's get started. Alright, so we made it to the 40-yard mark before we had 3 consistent misses in a row. So I'm going to say that that is my hard failure point as of right now with this gun. We'll continue to run this drill as we progress through our testing through the 1,000 rounds with this gun. Alright, that was the full 75 rounds of Federal HST, and it seemed to do fine with that ammo, so I'm confident enough in this gun to be able to carry it on a daily basis. So from here on out, starting tomorrow, this will be my EDC gun until we hit that 1,000 round mark, and we'll take this journey together, and you guys can come to the range with me for all of our practice trips until we hit that 1,000 rounds. And if we run into any issues, we'll be able to document it and catch it on camera to be able to share with you guys. I'm Jason Hitchings, and I'll see you at the range real soon.